So today we're going to do an update on PayPal stock because PayPal has had a fantastic year. 2024 has been a great year for PayPal. It's outperformed the S&P 500. And if you guys remember 2023, I was buying PayPal stock very heavy during that time frame. And as we came into 2024, I told you guys that is my number one stock for 2024. I am going to make it a very large position in my portfolio. I'm going to make it a top 3 position, maybe even my largest position. And that's what I was doing. I was buying the stock, and in 2024, I've been getting the rewards for PayPal going up. However, as more investors are starting to pile into the stock now and they're chasing it, I am actually starting to see a few concerns around the stock, and I am actually starting to become a seller of PayPal stock. So today, I'll show you what I'm thinking about PayPal right now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get started. So PayPal has had a fantastic 2024. The stock is up 48%, outperforming the S&P 500. And what we're seeing now is a lot of people are starting to turn very bullish on PayPal. There is a multiple upgrades coming out from analysts every day now saying that PayPal is a stock to be buying. I think even on Friday, Jim Cramer was talking about some of the upgrades on CNBC, and he was saying, hey, you know what, this stock is going to carry on skyrocketing. And everyone's just slowly turning bullish now on PayPal. Now the stock has rallied up 50%. Typical, isn't it? The big money chasing the stocks. We've not seen that one before. But for me, PayPal's been a stock that I've been buying for a little bit longer than these guys have been chasing it. I've been buying the stock, especially very heavy in that $50, $60 range. And a year ago, I put out this this video on PayPal saying I think there's a lot of upside on PayPal, and I was buying and buying, and I was getting the rewards. Funny enough, when the stock was $50, $60, nobody was interested in PayPal. Nobody wanted to touch it. If you go on that video right there, there's a lot of negativity on PayPal. All of a sudden, the stock is up 48% year to date, and it's amazing what the share price does. Suddenly, it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's funny how that always happens in the stock market, isn't it? But as I look into PayPal right now, I'm a little bit concerned because these are the numbers that I actually had on PayPal a little bit while ago when I was doing that video. So when I did that video a year ago, these are the numbers that I had them to do. Now, since that time frame, I've got a little bit concerned about, are they going to be delivering on these numbers? They've had a pretty decent year, but I think there's a little bit of concern starting to creep in now towards the back end of the year. And typically, as I like to go by Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Right now, I think a few people are getting a little bit greedy on PayPal. Where are all these guys when the stock was $50, $60? They weren't to be seen. Now the stock is up 50% year to date. They're all piling into the stock. So first of all, one of the big concerns I have around PayPal now is that when I was originally buying PayPal, it's 14 times earnings. I always believed PayPal should have been a 20 times earnings business. Right now, PayPal has gone back to that 20 times earnings business. In fact, it's gone to 21 times earnings. My issue with PayPal is that now it needs to go to a premium to have more upside. If PayPal is going to give me more share price return here, it needs to have some metric expansion. It needs to go to 25, 30 times earnings. And I originally thought they could do that. When I was doing this video here, I do believe they could have had metric expansion. I am a little bit more concerned around if they're going to have the metric expansion now. That's the only little concern. And the reason why is because I've been looking at the numbers. Now, the numbers haven't been too bad from a profitability point of view, but I've been a little bit concerned about where the revenue growth has been going in the last kind of couple of months. So if we do go back to July time, everything was looking okay until we got to the guide. Now, the guide for the next quarter was in Q3 to have mid-single digit growth. Now, if you go back to what I was forecasting, I was expecting PayPal to grow somewhere between 4 to 12% a year. So we're at the very low end of what I was forecasting, which you don't want to see from PayPal. And I thought, well, maybe they're just sandbagging the numbers. Realistically, they'll come in at like 7% revenue growth in the next quarter and shock us all. No, they actually came in at what they said they were going to do, 5% growth. And they did actually miss slightly. And I was like, oh, so I thought they were sandbagging numbers. And they actually then brought the numbers out. And actually, no, they weren't. They actually just met the targets. Well, technically, they missed it slightly. I was like, oh, that's not great. But then I got a little bit more concerned because then what happened is they then put the Q4 guidance out. When they put the Q4 guidance out, they actually said that they're going to do revenue growth of low to single digit revenue growth. And I was like, okay, this is the biggest quarter of the year, low single digit. So we're talking, what, 2-3% potentially there? Now, like I said, that's way below what I was expecting. That's even below my worst case scenario numbers. And if we do look at analyst numbers right now, they're expecting 3% revenue growth for for Q4. I just don't think that's good enough. Low single digit growth should not be where PayPal is at right now. That's not great growth at all, way below what I was expecting. Now, next year they are expecting numbers to kind of bounce back a little bit to 5%, but that's still actually below the current year. So they're actually expecting 5% revenue growth, which is obviously way below what I was expecting when I originally started buying the stock. That's definitely at the low end of my guidance. And the big thing, like I said, is like metric expansion. One of the big things that I thought maybe will give them a lot of upside here is they go from being like 20 times earnings here to 25, 30 times earnings. That would give me so much more upside. The problem is right now is that if you're growing at 5%, I don't think you're going to go to 25, 30 times earnings. Now, you never know in the stock market. The stock market can do crazy things, but I've got to go with what's the best information in front of me. And I don't believe a company that's growing at 5% deserves to go to 20, 30 times earnings. So I'm not going to get that metric expansion on this growth. Now, the good thing is that they're going to be driving up profitability a lot faster than the revenue. So that's probably going to save them in the short term. But there's only so long you can make a company efficient. There's only so long you can have that profit growing more than the revenue before eventually you do need that revenue growth to start coming back. And like I said, the problem with the revenue growth right now is that will lead to slower profit growth. It won't give them the metric expansion, and it's way below what I was forecasting for this business to do. And that's the concern I have. This is now slowing down rapidly, in my opinion, and a lot lower than what I was expecting for the company to do. So as we look at my updated numbers now for PayPal, you can see here I've changed the revenue growth from 3 to 5 to 7% on the low to high side, 13, 14, 15% profit margin and 20 times earnings. Now you can see here on the low side, right now, if they do this sort of growth, I actually don't think there's much upside left in PayPal in the next kind of 5 years, which is a little bit concerning. On the mid side, there's a little bit of upside, but I would probably say it's not worth holding the stock if they're only going to grow 5% a year. And if they do start going into a little bit more growth mode, then potentially, yeah, there's a little bit more upside there. So realistically, we do need PayPal to kind of get back up to this 7-8% growth, in my opinion. If they do get to back to 7-8% growth, that's a lot better. And then I can argue the case that potentially PayPal then goes to more of a premium. PayPal potentially then goes to like 25 times earnings. If they can get to that 8% growth, 25 times earnings, there is still upside on this stock, and you would still do pretty well in the next kind of 5 years. And that's the part of me that's holding out, thinking maybe Alex Chriss can start getting the growth going back again, and then we're going to be okay. So maybe this is kind of a bit of a blip that's going on, and some of the new products that Alex Chriss brings in will make the company more profitable, will make the company higher profit margins, which I haven't mentioned so far, and higher revenue growth. And potentially then we get that metric expansion, and actually it's worth holding PayPal. And there's part of me thinking that could happen under Alex Chriss. So I'm not making this video to be like, I'm selling all my PayPal, I've given up on it. But I'm definitely a little bit more worried on PayPal from where I was 12 months ago on this stock. And I was like, when I'm making this video, I was like, I'm buying every share I can. I'm buying the stock nearly every 1 week, 2 weeks. Where I'm at now is obviously I'm nowhere near a buyer. I'm definitely not buying the stock right now, but I'm definitely a lot more concerned around where PayPal is. And right now when I look at PayPal, I'm a little bit like, I'm seeing more risk to reward here. And there is part of me thinking that they could bounce back and the stock could still do very well. So I'm not going to sell all my position in PayPal, but where PayPal ended up being my third largest position, and it's been a very good performer for me this year, I am not willing to have a stock as my third largest position if these are the current numbers that I'm seeing them do. Because if these are the current numbers seeing them do, I can't justify having a third largest position that only has this upside in the next kind of few years. You compare that to like some of my other top holdings like Mercado Libre, I'm still seeing 100% upside in the next 5 years. HIMS, I'm still seeing 100% upside in the next 5 years. DraftKings, even though I'm a little bit more concerned around DraftKings from where they were a year ago, I still think they can do 100% upside. PayPal is the one stock in the portfolio right now in that kind of top 5 holdings where I go, right now the numbers they're doing aren't good enough for me. And if they do these numbers over the next 5 years, I don't think I'm going to make that much money from. So I'm willing to give them a little bit of time to kind of see like if they can bounce back and get these numbers back up again. But I'm definitely not anywhere near as bullish where I was. And if anything, I'm adjusting the position now where it did get to my third largest holding, and now I'm taking the profit off the table, and I will start rebalancing PayPal down the position list slightly now because I do have those concerns, and PayPal will go from being the third largest position in my portfolio to probably like the 6th, 7th largest position in my portfolio. and I'll sell that over a slow period of time. I have started selling out some of my PayPal, and as the months go on, and especially when I get the when we do get the Q1 earnings in March, that will be the time frame once again where I go, okay, were they just sandbagging the full year guide, or what's kind of going on? You know, if they start downgrading the guidance again in March, I'll be like, yep, start speeding up those sales. So I just made that video for you guys because obviously I was someone on the YouTube scene that was telling you guys like at $50-$60 I'm buying every share in sight, but now the stock has gone up to $91. It's nearly double since that time frame, and also that I've seen a bit of a slowdown in the financials. I'm a little bit more cautious on it from where I were 12 months ago, and I just make you aware of that situation as well. So yeah, well done to any of you guys that have been PayPal, but I think there's a bit of a slight momentum change now because there's a lot of people chasing the stock. I'm seeing a few concerns around it, and I'm just being a little bit more cautious than where I was a year ago, and I thought I'd update you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you could hit like button, if you're not here, subscribe. I'll see you all in a bit.